Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for graded math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 8 and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter proportional relationships. The lessons we're going to cover is identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality word problems, and solve problems involving proportional relationships. So let's just start with the make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Let's just start with the lesson that is identify proportional relationships. Okay. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So to determine whether a graph shows a proportional relationship between x and y, see if it is a straight line passing through the origin. So if you have to see like the graph is the relationship between the two variables is proportional, you have to see two things. The graph must be a straight line and it passes through the origin, right? So the graph is a straight line and passes through the origin. That means this graph represents a proportional relationship between x and y, right? So you have two conditions here. The first one is graph must be a straight line, and the second one is the graph must be passing through the origin, right? Let's just start with the test questions. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So you are given two of the graphs, right? So I have just explained you need to see two of the conditions. Which conditions? The first one is graph must be a straight line, right? You can see they both are the straight line. And the second condition is the graph must be passing through the origin. So which one is the correct one? Then option number one is the correct option because that is a graph that is a straight line and passing through the origin. Got it? Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y, right? So you are given two of the graphs. You have to see which one shows the proportional relationship. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number one is the correct option, right? Because that is the graph that is a straight line and passing through the origin. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y, so which is the correct option. You are given two of the graphs, which is the correct option. The correct option is option number 1 because that is a straight line and passing through the origin. Very good. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y, so which is the correct option. The correct option is option number 1, that is a straight line and passes through the origin. So option number 1 is the correct option. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y, so which is the correct option. The second one is the correct option, right? Because that is a straight line and passing through the origin. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y, so which is the correct option. Correct option is option number one, right? So, the graph of the proportional relationship must be a straight line and passing through the origin. We are done with the lesson. Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is find the constant of proportionality word problems. So let's just start with the word problems. Can I learn to sing a total of 5 pieces over the course of 5 weeks of voice lessons? After a short break, he learned 11 new pieces over the span of 11 weeks. How many vocal pieces can he learn per week? So proportional quantities have a constant ratios, right? The constant ratio is called the constant of variation. The constant of variation often represents a rate or a cost. So let's just create a chart. We have number of songs, number of weeks, and the number of pieces. So she learned 5 pieces in 5 weeks, and then she learned after a short break, she learned 11 pieces in 11 weeks, right? You have to calculate the constant of variation. For the constant of variation, we do y by x, right? So you have to do what, 5 by 5 and 11 by 11. So 5 by 5 is 1 and 11 by 11 is 1. That is the constant of variation. The constant of variation is 1. So let's just start with the practice questions. Okay. Janelle grew 9 plants with 3 seed packets. Then later in the season, she grew 15 plants using 5 seed packets. How many plants can Janelle grow with 1 seed packet, right? You need to calculate the constant of variation. Let's just make a chart. We have plants and seed packets. So she made 9 plants with 3 seed packets and 15 plants with 5 seed packets, right? That is y and that is x. You have to calculate the constant of variation. You have to do y over x, right? You have to do 9 over 3 and 15 over 5. So 3 times 3 is 9 and 3 times 5 times 3 is 15, right? So that means the constant of variation is 3. The correct option is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. The correct option is 3. Harold's Auto Wash had revenues of $12 from two customers. At another point, the auto wash earned $18 in revenue from three customers. How many revenue does the Harold's Auto Wash have per customer? Okay, so you have revenues and the customers. Let's just make a chart. You have revenue, $12 revenue, and you have two customers, right? And at another point, he earned $18 revenue and three customers. So we have to find the constant of variation. We have to do y over x. You have to do 12 over 2 and 18 over 3. So 2 times 6 is 12 and 3 times 6 is 18. The correct option is 6. That means the revenue he generates from every customer is $6. Got it? The correct option is $6. Harry took a total of 12 quizzes over the course of 6 weeks. After school vacation, he took 17 quizzes over the span of 7 weeks. How many quizzes does Harry take per week? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, the correct option is 2 quizzes per week. The constant of variation here is 2. He have 12 quizzes over the course of 6 weeks. So, y by x is 12 divided by 6 and 14 divided by 7. The correct option is 2 quizzes per week. Got it? Anita took a total of 8 pages of notes during 2 hours of class. Then later in the year, she took 16 pages of notes during 4 hours of class. How many pages of notes does Anita take during an hour of class? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 4 pages per class, right? You have here 8 pages in 2 hours, so you have to do ay by x 8 over 2. Then you have 16 pages in 4 hours, so 16 by 4. 2 times 4 is 8 and 4 times 4 is 16. So basically the constant of variation here is 4. The correct option is 4. Got it? Option number 2 is the correct option. Sydney spent 3 minutes on the phone while routing 3 phone calls. Later in the day, she spent 15 minutes on the phone and routing 15 phone calls. How many minutes does it take to route on one phone call? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that is 1 minute, right? That means each call take 1 minute to route the call. The correct option is 1 minute. Andrew ran a total of 10 miles over the course of 2 track practices. Then later in the season, he ran 15 miles over the course of 3 track practices. How many miles does Andrew run per track practice? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 5 miles, right? The correct option is 5. The constant of variation is 5, right? Stanley prepared 12 kilograms of dough after working 4 hours. Then he prepared an additional 15 kilograms of dough after working another 5 hours. How many kilograms of dough does Stanley prepare every hour? Which is the correct option? The correct option is 3 kilograms, right? The constant of variation is 3 kilograms. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is, that is the last lesson from the chapter, and that is solve problems involving proportional relationships. The equation shows how the total number of necklaces Wendy owns is related to the amount of money she spent on additional necklaces. N equals D. The variable D represents the amount of money she spends on additional necklaces, and the variable N represents the total number of necklaces she owns. With $10 spent on new necklaces, how many total necklaces can Wendy own? Right? So variable N represents the number of necklaces, and variable D represents the amount of money she spent. So if she have $10, how many necklaces she can buy? You are given the equation N equals D, right? D is 10. So N equals D. So that means N is also 10. You can see here when D spends $10 on additional necklaces, plug in D equals 10. The correct option is 10, right? Let's just start with the practice questions. Okay. This equation shows how the total number of books Jack has read depends on the number of months he has been part of a book club. B equals 7m. The variable m represents the number of months he has been a member of the book club, and the variable b represents the number of books he has read. After belonging to the book club for 1 month, how many books will Jack have read in all? So, which is the correct option? So you are given 1 month, right? After belonging to the book club for 1 month, M represents the month. That means M equals 1, and B represents the number of books. So you are given the equation B equals 7M. You have to plug in M equals 1 in the equation. So that would be 7 times 1, and that equals 7. So that means after belonging to the book club for 1 month, Jack will read 7 books, right? The correct option is 7. The correct option is 7. This equation shows how the amount of time that a receptionist named William spends on the phone is related to the number of phone calls he routes to employees. T equal 5p. The variable p represents the number of phone calls he routes, and the variable t represents the number of minutes he is on phone. If he routes one phone call, how many much time will William have spent on the phone in total? So which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? The correct option is you have one phone call, right? P represents the phone call, so you need to replace p with 1. So 5 times 1 equals 5. The correct option is 5. This equation shows how the number of flowers Anita can have in her garden is related to the number of seed packets she purchases. F equals 9s. The variable s represents the number of seed packets she purchases, and the variable f represents the total number of flowers in the garden. With one seed packet, how many total flowers can Anita have in her garden? The correct option is yes, 9 it is. With one seed packet, Anita can grow 9 flowers. The correct option is 9. This equation shows the total number of necklaces Wendy owns is related to the amount of money she spends on the additional necklaces. N equals D. The variable D represents the amount of money she spent on additional necklaces, and the variable N represents the total amount of necklaces she owns. With $10 of to spend on new necklaces, how many total necklaces can Wendy own? Which is the correct option? The correct option is because N equals D, so that equals $10. Because with $10 she can own 10 necklaces. The correct option is 10. The correct option is after doing a total of 2 hours of yard work, so you have to do H equals 2, so you have to do 5 times 2. The correct option is 10 it is. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. We were working on grade 8 math. The chapter we were working on is proportional relationships, and the lessons we have covered today are identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality word problems, and solve problems involving proportional relationships, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday 5 to 9, or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10. right? So if you have any questions related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. Any questions? No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session.